Hey, what's up, everyone? Pastor JAMZ here, back with another review, and my first review of a 2024 project. I'm so excited because we have already a plethora of artists who have, from different genres, might I add, already throw their hat into the mix this year and for of their full-length projects, and that's pretty surprising considering that December and January are typically quiet in the music industry. Not a lot really goes on. Yeah, you'll have one or two mainstream artists throw like a surprise album or maybe a collab project, and that's typically what goes on. And things pick back up in February or so. However, that's not the case here. We already have plenty of artists and well-known artists who have already released their projects, and I'm so excited. And I couldn't think of anyone better to start off with than Mr. Rager himself, Kid Cudi. If you know me and you've been following me for quite some time, you know that Kid Cudi's my favorite artist of all time. I am a huge fan. Introduced to his music, Man on the Moon, when I was in third grade, and the rest is history. Uh, People, have various things to say about him, especially now how he's grown as an artist, how he hasn't grown as an artist. I don't know. This is my opinion. He's my favorite artist of all time, and I don't really get upset when people do give their constructive criticism. That's their opinion. This is my review, and I don't mean to scare any new viewers. That doesn't mean that I blow smoke up his ass or anything like that and give him straight 10 out of 10s. No, I give him constructive criticism as much as I give anyone else constructive criticism. So, Insano, Kid Cudi. Let's jump right into it. Kid Cudi, also his name Scott Mescudi, 39-year-old rapper, singer, songwriter, and fashion designer from Brooklyn, New York. 39 years old, been in the game for quite some time, and might I add, yes, I know he's from Cleveland. That's like, but he got his start in Brooklyn, New York. Uh, he's gonna be 40 years old in a couple of days, and that's really important to take note of because he's been in the industry for 15 years. That is quite some time. And he has offered so much. He has put so much out there. His ninth studio album, Insano. He has done collabs with Kanye West, Dot to Genius. He made two rock records, and it's just insane to me how far he's come, influencing a whole generation of artists, not just rappers or hip hop artists, a whole generation of artists in general. Usually talking about mental health awareness, and depression. Dark themes like that. He's not afraid to tackle those themes, and that's what made him stand out so much when he first came out with the Man on the Moon projects. Anyways, Insano is 21 tracks long and a whopping hour and 4 minutes. Something that I'm gonna jump right into because everyone already knows this. Kid Cudi likes to bloat his albums ever since 2015, I believe. That's where it all started. You know, every single album is probably 18 to 24 tracks long. And that can be scary and discouraging to maybe new listeners. Veteran listeners, you already know that's the case with him, and it's just going to be like that. And it does kind of, he shoots himself in the foot in this album Insano because that happens again. There are tracks on here that shouldn't have been on here. As a matter of fact, if you didn't know this, Insano was originally going to be 40 tracks long. And although I do believe it's going to be out in fully in a deluxe edition, I don't really do deluxe reviews. I stick to the main art that was released by the artist, and I review that. And 21 tracks, like I said, can be scary. And throughout the album, there are cuts in here that are a minute 30, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and I do appreciate how they can be fun, such as uh, such as Cut Life and A Tale of a Night and Freshie. Cuts like those are very straight cut and to the point, where he does go off in terms of lyricism and actually doing a verse, rapping verses, and it's a slippery slope and a fine line that we're walking here, because it can be discouraging for so many tracks to be on here. Maybe some ideas could have been merged into like a couple tracks, 2 or 3 tracks that are a minute and a half long, or could have been smushed together, combined. Ideas could have been combined, and you know maybe a beat switch, and then you do like the other half of the track, things like that. It's just people, and I gotta admit that's why I'm dwelling so much on this topic. Is you see that it's so long, it's a little discouraging. I was a little scared that it was going to be kind of like Speeding Bullet to Heaven, where a lot of the tracks are just he says that it's repetitive, the same thing over and over again. You don't really get a lot of the meat portion of the album, which in these tracks, which are the verses. But he does do a good job of pertaining to verses and actually rapping and going off in and says what he has to say in these tracks. Uh, he keeps it flowing in terms of the production, it's phenomenal. A little misconception is DJ Drama is not the producer or sole producer of this album. He's more of the hype man, kind of like a DJ Khaled type thing, hyping you up throughout the album. Each track in the beginning, he'll say something. Especially in the first track, he does like a whole monologue, and I do appreciate that. And does way better than DJ Khaled. Sorry, excuse me. DJ Drama comes off more enthusiastic, genuine, and I don't really like to use that word, but he does. It doesn't come off fake or anything like that. It's not annoying in your ear like DJ Khaled. He actually does keep the listener hyped and wanting to hear more of the album. So big ups to him, and I'm happy to see the collab between him and Cudi again. Speaking of collabs, you know, hats off to Kid Cudi bringing the boys back together, such as Travis Scott and ASAP Rocky and Pharrell Williams. You know, uh, I did hear throughout people reviewing the album that their favorite tracks are with the collabs that he does. Most notably, ASAP Rocky on the track "Wow" and Travis Scott on the track "Get Off Me," and the other track "At the Party" with Pharrell Williams. And they are amazing tracks. Probably the highlights of the album, but don't take away from, you have to keep in mind that Cudi influenced these guys. That they are the next generation that are inspired by him. And even on the track Rager Boys with Young Thug, uh, not a lot of collabs between him and Young Thug, but everyone wanted to see that, and we got it, and it was amazing. The production, on going back to the production on this thing is phenomenal. You got Plain Pat coming back, Dot the Genius as well, who has worked with Kid Cudi for a long time, Pharrell Williams, who's a good friend of Kid Cudi, also a long time producer of his, Kid Cudi himself, and even Lil Yachty helps produce Blue Sky, which is the second to last track on this thing, and it is phenomenal, phenomenal. Blue Sky should have been the last track on this album. It is so amazing, so spacious, beautiful, harmonic beat, and just a great send off to this album that should have, it stuck the landing. But no, there had to be a 21st track, Hit the Streets in My Nikes, and it's I could care less about the track. It's a throwaway track, and not that memorable, especially after a song like Blue Sky, what is so beautiful. And there are other throwaway tracks, kind of like Funky Wizard Smoke, where I can appreciate the beat, but I can't get over the weird, awkward, creepy child like gospel harmonics. It's a little weird, and then he kind of like he kind of breathes through his nose. Yeah, flying through God and flying high. He I don't know. That's just how it sounds like to me. It's a little funny and awkward. Not really feeling that track. Another track that I'm not feeling, and probably the worst track on this thing, is Seven by featuring Lil Wayne. 2.5 minutes, and the whole part of his verse, he is using his auto tune, his deep auto tune that he typically uses in his songs. But in his songs, he'll use the auto tune as like an intro type thing, and that's fine. It works with him because that's what he's known for. But in 7, it's the whole thing, and it's a little bit annoying, especially with the mastering and engineering of the audio, where Lil Wayne sounds clean as hell, and it's a little off-putting, I should say. Speaking of off-putting, Lil Wayne's verse. I have nothing against Lil Wayne. I think he's an amazing rapper, but the collab, this collab shouldn't have happened. Uh, I believe he says something like, "Ain't shit sweet, but I could make this shit a perfume and smell good." I stopped at that. Okay, 7 is the worst track on this thing with Lil Wayne. Don't listen to it. Just go away. Another awkward track, and probably the last constructive thing I have to say about the album is "ELECTROWAVEBABY." It's a little weird, kind of sounds reggaetonish and kind of off-putting. And the album, a little bump in the road, first bump in the road actually, since it's the beginning of the album. Just another throwaway track, easily forgettable, awkward beat, and things like that. And that is so unfortunate to say, because now we're getting into the nitty gritty of things. The first 5 tracks on this thing are phenomenal, gold. If you want to test out Insano, listen to the first 5 tracks, and if you're not interested, don't even bother with the rest. Don't bother with the rest, because that's what it boils down to. The first 5 tracks, pure gold. The tracks with Travis Scott and even the one with Pharrell Williams and Young Thug, pure gold. And XN Cut as well with XXXTENTACION, where he covers Orlando and remixes Orlando by X. I'll say that was good too. It's very it's put it towards like the middle of the album, and nice homage, good chemistry between the two. Unfortunately, I wish that they would have collabed together when X was alive. But it's a beautiful piece and a beautiful cover and remix that he does for X, and I didn't mind that at all. And he also does his like I mentioned earlier in this video, the whole mental health thing, mental health awareness. The song "Tortured" as well. I like how he kind of bundled those tracks together. The more deep tracks, the more talking about the like lifestyle tracks. Good slice of life. Those types of things. He kind of kept those together, and everything else is just pure rage. My final words, my final thoughts on the album. I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here with the time. When Cudi wants to go off, he's gonna go off, and I appreciate that in these small cuts, like a minute and a half tracks, 2 minute tracks that are thrown in there. He does go off with this bombastic, raging. The production is just so, it keeps moving. It wants you, the listener, to keep listening to more, and it doesn't get boring. It doesn't feel like he's not himself, because he's bringing that sound. If I could compare it to something, it's the dark themes and the high majestic production, I would say, from Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, mixed with the rage of Man on the Moon 2 bars. When he wants to go off, he's gonna go off in these verses, and he does. It's very carefree, very stylish in a way that it just comes off so natural. And Cudi's not mostly known for his bars. I'm not saying he's the most versatile and he's speaking the realest shit on this thing. I'm just saying that he's having a good old time, and brought the group back together. Some very artists that he and producers that he's collabed with for so long got the group back together, made some bangers, and there the album's bloated, but there are tracks that are just easily forgettable. Throw them out of the way, and you have yourself a solid 7.5 out of 10 album. Kid Cudi, Insano, first review of the year. I wanted to give this project an 8, but I just couldn't. I know that was way too high, but a 7 was just way too low. I'm so sorry about the the runtime. I try to keep this under 12 minutes or so, but I'm not gonna waste any more of your time. Insano, Kid Cudi, 7.5 out of 10. If you want to give this a listen, link down below in the description. Look at my awesome jams and look at my sour jams. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you in the middle about it? Anyways, that is a review. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you're looking forward to the next one. Pass the jams out.